absolute support, the 24/7 support that you get pre-departure from us here at the TEFL Institute. You get help with your application. You know, if your CV and your interview and everything like that is good, then you're guaranteed a job when you arrive. And there's always someone at the end of a line there for you. So do you know, you're not kind of thrown into the deep end. You're not out on your own. It is an internship, and our partners in Thailand know that you are first-time teachers. Okay, so that's the beauty of the internship first, I want to say. It's 4.5 months is the internship. Again, as I said, May 1st is the start date. As well, if you are 4.5 months in and you're enjoying yourself, guys, you can stay for a second semester and with a pay rise with no extra cost. So you can actually end up staying there for the year if that's what you'd like to do. So you can do your 4.5 months, see how you go, and then you can stay for a second semester. Yeah, you can stay for a second semester, or you can go home. It's up to yourself. You also get a monthly allowance of this in this program. It's about 780 to 885 euro, depending on your qualifications and experience. Okay, but it is a minimum of 780 euro. And that's, as the girls will tell you now in a minute, a lot for living in Thailand. You know, I know I was there a couple of years ago, and you'd be able to get a dinner on the street for 250. You know, it's really reasonable over there, and definitely different to here right now anyway. But that's your salary included. You do get full training included. So if you don't have a TEFL course, that's all included there. And orientation and training is provided, but that is COVID dependent, okay? You will get the absolute full training that you need. But obviously in the last semester or 2 semesters, the orientation is run a little bit differently due to COVID and, you know, group numbers and things like that. So again, just to be open-minded about how that works, but absolutely it's all included, and you'll be fully prepared stepping into the classroom, okay? The age range of children are from primary to secondary, so normally about 4 to 17, and there's the public school system, okay? You'll have your weekends off, and you'll also have public holidays off, okay? There's also visa sponsorship included, which I'll go into in a little bit more. We have accident insurance included, and as I said before, the ongoing in-country support is another big thing that we have. All right. I suppose things that you have to think about in the back of your own head about things that you have to organize yourself will be the flights. That's something that you have to organize yourself. A police check is something that you have to get. I think it's about 10 euro, just for your clean criminal record. Budget, we always say to people maybe to have enough for the first four or 5 weeks, because obviously you're not going to be paid until the end of the month. So have that bit of money available to you, definitely. So you're secure when you're there, and you know there's always hiccups in the road, so it's good to be prepared. Travel insurance is another thing that we do recommend to be organised, and that includes COVID cover as well. That depends. I don't know if people have their own insurance. If you want to go get insurance, that's down to you. The visa cost will have to be covered by you guys, but it will be reimbursed in your first month's salary. Okay, so you do have to pay for it first initially, but that will be reimbursed to you. The accommodation, I forgot to say, the accommodation is completely included in this program, guys. Okay, so your housing is organized for you, and that's part of the fee as well. And then another thing that you have to think about is the quarantine period, which I will let the girls kind of go into a little bit more detail on in a minute. But that's something that we do have to keep in the back of our minds. Again, we don't know if it's going to be 1 week or 2 weeks in May. I'm hoping that it won't even exist in May 2022, but you know, we can never say that, and we don't know. Okay, so that's what's included and what you guys need to organize. In terms of the teaching experience, again, Fanula will run through a little bit more, but it is kind of early hours in the day, but it does depend on the school and where you're placed. So if you're teaching younger learners or if you're teaching older learners, depends on your interview. So our partners will meet with you and they'll see if you're more suited maybe for a younger age group. If you're more experienced with kind of teenagers, would that work better? So depending on what school you go to, the hours can be different, okay? But you will be expected in all kind of scenarios to be teaching 20 to 25 hours in classroom, okay? But you do have to kind of think or make time for 15 hours of admin, lesson planning, meetings, you know, those type of things that come hand in hand with teaching. So, but kind of 20, 25 hours in the actual classroom, okay? I just want to run through another thing here, guys. One moment. Again, as I said, guys, anything I said there about what's included, the requirements, feel free to kind of drop in a question there, no problem at all. I'm just getting something up here on my screen, so bear with me one moment. Yes, here we are, perfect. Okay, so in terms of, I think a lot of people always ask about the location. Okay, so the location is, again, the girls will explain this, but you either fly into Bangkok, okay, or you fly into Phuket, all right? But the placements of the schools are always going to be in and around 2 or 3 hours of Bangkok. So there could be 2 or 3 hours north, 2 or 3 hours east, west and south. And you're in and around that age range. But the good thing is that with this program, you're never going to be on your own. You're always going to go to a school or to an area with a group of people. Okay, and that's all organized at your orientation or pre-departure as well. All right. And in terms of the teaching experience as well, it's Monday to Friday. I know that sometimes there is a Saturday workshop, but it's not every Saturday. Okay, in general, it's Monday to Friday with the age range of 3 to 17. Okay, it is general English, so your primary focus is just getting these kids, I suppose, to a better level. Okay, and that is the focus. They're not so, it's not going to be anything really, there's no exams per se, like you're not preparing them from exams or business English or something like that. It is primarily focused on general English, okay, and improving their level. Okay, and Elaine, what is the cost of the internship? Excellent question. So after I went through everything, so the cost of that internship, including everything that I said a while ago, it's €959. If you have TEFL training already, just give me a ring afterwards because that will be deducted from the internship. Okay, so you obviously already have it, so you don't need it. So I'm not sure, Elaine, if you have training or if you don't have training, but you can let me know afterwards. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the girls there, kind of give their own story a little bit about where they are with the whole internship, and then we will come back to questions then afterwards. So I suppose, Fanula, if you want to go first and kind of, because you're there the longest, and just kind of run through your own experience.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So what, we arrived maybe 5-6 months ago, did our quarantine in Bangkok, and then headed up northeast up to a place called Royet. And yeah, like that, we spent, it was a little bit different because of COVID and everything. So we had 3 weeks in the school, and then the rest of our semester was online teaching. So it was kind of, it was a little bit more creative, I guess. You got to use like PowerPoints, and like this, it would be a Zoom meeting, and you'd be sharing your screen and stuff. But yeah, like the main focus was helping the kids with their pronunciation of the words. And because you were using the picture to kind of explain what the word meant and stuff, it was really fun. Like they'd all be calling out the answers and stuff like that. So yeah, it was really cool. Like that, then we're on holidays now. So the second semester is starting in a week and a half, I think. But we had, what, a nice 3.5 weeks off altogether collectively. So, I mean, like, the semester flies, but it is a lot of fun. I think we were maybe a little bit extra lucky because we did teach online. So we had a lot of time to just kind of like hop up onto the bicycle and go out through like all the rice fields and see like really like traditional, like true culture Thailand kind of thing. Because I like that our town was a little bit further than 2 hours. We were about a 9-hour bus ride from Bangkok. So we were like really in the heart of like true Thailand, like, you know what I mean? Like kind of no urban cities, or like there was a lot of farmer, but it was beautiful. Like you wouldn't change it for the world, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, no, we were just extra lucky because we had so much extra time to like make friends with the people who live there, like real Thai people, you know what I mean? Cycle out through the country, and just something I don't think we would have been able to see in school. But having said that, like the 3 weeks that we did have in school, they were phenomenal as well, like because even like how the Thai teachers dress, getting a sense of like they really put effort into looking their best, and you kind of get to see like the Thai silk cotton all put together with the patterns, and it was just very different from a teacher back home who might be quite casual, whereas over here they're very well dressed, very well put together, and yeah, it was a really cool experience having a taste of both online and in school. It was
Can I
all
ask you,
around.
Fanula, at the moment are people online teaching or in the classroom right now? You know.
So up until the end of this semester, the whole country was online.
Okay.
But from what I know, they have prioritized all the children to get their vaccines so that the school will be resuming on November 1st. Again, that's only word of mouth. I don't know for sure. That's just what we've been told. I guess in a week or a week and a half, we'll know for sure when everybody does return for their semester. But their hope was to be in school. Their hope was for in class. It's much better when you're in school because you have everyone's attention. Your class, do you know what I mean? You have the 30 kids there and you can play the games, you can make them laugh, you can, just have a good time because it's a fun, it's not like, so like you were saying, like when you're learning science, it's quite serious. Whereas we were all kind of like, as a group of 30 people trying to shout the same word together, like who can say it louder, or, yeah, it was more interactive, more fun and games style of learning rather than, the textbook, like classroom, if that makes sense.
Exactly. And that's, I suppose, that is a thing with TEFL teaching, is that we kind of try and stay away from the whole blackboard grammar on the board, strict type of thing. And it is kinesthetic learning for sure. Yeah. And what was your favorite thing about Thailand, Fanula? Or what is your favorite thing about Thailand?
Favorite thing about Thailand? There's quite a few, like it'd be hard to just give one. What I will say is the difference from where we were. So let's say I'm in Bangkok now. So that's like a real concrete, it actually feels a little bit like New York or London, like sky-rise buildings, really tall, very concrete kind of. But where we were up in Royet, that was the heart of Thailand. Mm-hmm. I'm talking like green rice fields for days, like, you know what I mean? Farmer hats, just really nice people as well, like no matter where you looked. And don't get me wrong, the language barrier is a thing, like especially up in the northeast, because they're not exposed to the English language. So like being up there trying to figure out when you go to the market, it's like what sort of dish would I like to eat, or what bus do I get to here, like, if you're looking for directions. And they're genuinely the most friendliest, helpful of people. Even though I don't speak their language, they don't really speak my language. Like, they still go out of their way to help you. Like, it's incredible how nice and how friendly the people are. Yeah, it's called the Land of Smiles for a reason. That kind of way.
There's three
they
questions
are genuinely.
Fanula, I'm just going to ask you because there's three that came up, if that's okay. So
sure.
One, how many teachers were in the same location? So say when you went to your area, how many other teachers were with you, essentially?
So English speaking altogether, there was 4. Mm-hmm. So 3 of us were Irish and 1 was South African. He's been there for, I think, maybe 5 years. He's well settled into the town. Yeah. And then because you have the Thai teachers who are also English teachers, so like you can have a bit of a laugh with them as well. They're helpful and they're quite friendly. So yeah, like 3 Irish and then 1 South African and then the other Thai English teachers. So like you're definitely not alone. There's always, and to be fair, the people are very eager to practice the English language. So you will easily, like, let's say if you're down at the park or even if you're at one of the restaurants or in the market, people will approach you and try to have a conversation. They want to learn and yeah.
And there's one more question there, Fanula. What's the accommodation like?
The accommodation is very humble. It's just like, you know, like especially it's a bit of an eye opener when you do head out to the northeast, because realistically that's where media kids do have quite a few schools. So you're not in like the tourist built up areas. You are in true life Thailand. You know what I mean? It is very humble. So you do your accommodation, basically you have your room and you have your bed. There's an open space. And then you kind of go out into like a little balcony area, and that's where your bathroom is. And that's kind of it, to be quite honest. Like the agency do say that like they sort it out for you. So I guess when you first get here, it's nice and easy to have that already arranged for you. But they do say, let's say you stay for the second semester and you find something a little bit nicer and you're willing to pay a little bit more, that's okay too. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a bedroom, and like there wouldn't be any kitchenette. There's no kitchen served, but like, do you know what I mean? You do have to kind of eat out in the markets and stuff like that. But that's all part of the experience. Like we all come to Thailand for street food, so that's okay, like, you know, but there is no kitchen area. Yeah, it's very humble, but it's what you need. Like you know, it's just what you need. Like.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other question there is the accommodation with host families, or is it with other TEFL teachers?
Okay, so it's kind of like an apartment block nearly. Now this is just what we had.
Yeah.
That's it. Like it could be different elsewhere, but what we had was kind of like maybe a 3-story apartment block, and we all had our individual rooms.
Studio.
So you are neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry?
Like a studio.
A studio apartment, exactly. Yeah. Sorry, that's the perfect way to put it. A studio apartment. And yes, you are all neighbors, you're all together in the same complex. And even your Thai neighbors, they're more than friendly, like, you know?
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much. That's amazing. And if there's any other questions come in there, I will let you know if that's okay.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Niamh, if you want to kind of run through your own reason for TEFL, your TEFL journey and your journey so far.
Perfect. I'm Niamh. I'm from Westmeath, and I am currently in Phuket doing my 7-day quarantine. I'm going to be moving to the Chayapum region in the next week, I'd say. I don't know what that's like yet, but I've seen pictures and all that. So in my case, I did my degree, but I knew it wasn't something that I wanted a job in, as unfortunate as it sounds. I didn't want to look for a future in biochemistry. So I've been following TEFL Institute Ireland for a while now, and I did see that they had loads of internships for loads of countries. Me and my friend were interested in the South Korea one, but as soon as I saw the Thailand one, I felt like it was more for me. It was 4.5 months, and I have no experience teaching whatsoever. So I felt like 4.5 months, if I do that and I see that I like that, that'll be good. Like the South Korean one was 12 months, and I think it's a bit long for my first time teaching. So I bought the 310-hour course in January, and I didn't buy my internship until the April. I literally logged on that day, and I texted Kate. I asked you a few questions.
I remember.
Yeah, I had it booked in the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, you did.
So all summer I wasn't like interviewed until August. So I had my interview in August with the recruitment officer over here. It was so laid back. It was a really nice experience. She's a really lovely woman. So literally in the next 2 weeks, my recruitment officer, her name is Fern, she sent me a school placement, and this was in Chayapum in the northeast region. It's about 4.5 hours on a bus, but I was expecting that anyway. And she sent me a school profile. So she had the school and she had the town profile, and then she had 2 different apartment complexes, and then I think I get a choice, but I'm not sure with that yet. So I was really happy with my offer, and I took that, I think 2 days later. I replied to her 2 days later. So that was at the start of August. Then she told me I had to start getting all my documents ready. So I started getting my visa documents together. So my police check, that took 4 days. It was actually free for me. I just sent it off to my local Garda station. Then I got my degree translated to English with the department in Dublin. That was, I think, €40. It could have been a bit more. And then I had to get, I think those are the main, my degree, my TEFL certificate. I finished that in August. So I got that, and then I sent all those back to Fern. She got all the documents ready from the school here, and then she sent them back to me. That's when I started my visa process. I have to say it was stressful at times, applying for the visa. They ask for a lot, like work permits. They ask for school authority, like IDs. They ask for certificate of entry, documents. But once I got that done, I felt like a weight was off my shoulders, and I got approved the visa in 2 days. Now, my first visa application, it was online, and I had to send my passport to London. That was stressful because there's no embassy in Dublin. And my passport actually did get stuck at the airport for like 2 weeks. So I was stressing. This was literally at the end of September, and it's now only the middle of October. So that was stressful, but that got sorted ASAP. And then I got my visa, applied for my certificate of entry, got that in 1 day. And then that's when I booked all my flights. Quarantine was reduced to 7 days. So I'm here in Phuket from Saturday last week until Saturday this week. I think it was definitely worth it doing the Phuket sandbox. I don't think 7 or 14 days of Bangkok was for me. For the Phuket sandbox, 7 days, you do your PCR tests on the Saturday when you get here. And then I got to leave on Sunday morning and do whatever I want. You just need to wear your masks. You need to social distance. But other than that, it's like a mini holiday before I start teaching on the 1st of November. I did pay for my quarantine. It was cheap. It was very cheap. It was probably the price of 2 hotel nights in Dublin. Like it was $350 where I'm staying for 7 nights with a private pool. Like it was amazing. I couldn't get over it. I did have to pay for PCR tests. They were $130 altogether. So the first one you get at the airport when you arrive, and then the second one, I have mine on Thursday. €130, I was expecting that. And then I had to get a PCR test before I left Ireland. So that was, I think mine was €95 because I wanted to get it like fast, just in case anything happened. And then my flights, I got a one-way flight to Phuket. I got it with Qatar Airways. That was $460, but like I really wanted to fly with them because I know they're a good airline. So I think the most expensive thing for me was the flights. And now we're currently doing our orientation. So we had that this morning. We have that tomorrow morning, and we have that on Thursday. And we just log onto Zoom here in my hotel room, and the curriculum officers, they come on, they talk to us. They're really kind. They're Thai people, really kind, really helpful. If we have any questions, they were really helpful. They answered everything. And I think next week I'm going up to Bangkok to have an office induction. So that's when I open my bank, and that's when I learn about where I'm going to be living. Mm-hmm. And tomorrow I learn more about what teaching I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to a high school. So the age group is 12 to 17-year-olds. So there is a bit of a variety there, but I did put no preference on my school placement form. So I don't mind doing the high school students. I feel like they might have a certain level of English. I hope they do, I don't know, but I'll see when I get there, I suppose. Yeah. That's it really. I haven't began teaching yet, but I'm hoping it's going to like be good, and I'll fly it hopefully.
You will, of course. I'm just thinking of you, Niamh. I'm picturing you now when you were talking about the orientation in your hotel room. I was like, she'll be going out now to her private pool for her break time.
I actually did that today. We had an hour break, and I actually went for a swim because the room, there is air conditioning, but it was 30 degrees today, and it was the UV index was like 9. So I went out for a swim from 12 till 12:30. And then we were back in at 1 o'clock. It was grand. Like, I can't complain. I really can't.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I know you've only been there like very short term, but what do you like about Thailand so far?
I think when I was coming in on the plane flying over all the islands. As soon as I saw the place, the views are amazing. Like I've never seen anything like it before. I've been to a few European countries and Spain and all that, but as soon as I saw it, like my jaw dropped. I've never been to Thailand. I've only been to Asia once. I went to South Korea 2 years ago. I love that as well. But I think the views, like the beach, me and Nicole went to the beach last night in the sunset. It's like a completely different world to Westmeath for me. I think the people are so nice as well. Everyone on the side of the road, they say hello to you. I say it back to them. I'm still trying to get used to that, like speaking in Thai. I don't want to seem ignorant, but I'm still trying to get used to that. But the people and the views so far are amazing.
Yeah, no, that sounds so good. And like just on that point about the beaches and things, even though Fanula was talking about kind of being in remote areas, when I actually went over in 2017 to meet all the interns and our partners and everything like that, we were based in Bangkok as well for the time that I was there. But I think it was on the last 2 days, I got a bus it was 4 hours on the bus, and I can't remember the name of the town. It begins with R, but it was on the coast, and then I went over to Koh Samet, an island, for 2 days. So that's what a lot of the interns do as well. They might go on a Friday night on the ferry to Koh Samet, which is the closest one to Bangkok that I know of. But you know, it's all very accessible. Or if you've had that extra day off, then I think I spent €5 or €10 night accommodation on these islands, and it was just paradise. You know, paradise. Yeah,
very cheap. Like we have our salary, and I feel like I won't be worrying about money out here. The cost of living here is a lot lower than it is in Ireland. And you might worry like €780. That's what it says on the website. You might worry that's not a lot, but it really, it will stretch for you, the money out here.
Yeah.
I think where I'm going, Chayapum, like it's probably cheaper over there than it is in Phuket, because Phuket is like a holiday destination. Chayapum is countryside, like waterfalls and fields and trees. It's a massive city where I'm going. Well, massive in my eyes because I'm from a small town, but it's a big place. But I feel like it'll be nice and like cheap. I have my room is a studio apartment as well, but there's no kitchen. There's a fridge, there's my shower, there's my bed, there's the desk. But the street food, that's like the culture out here. So I'll have to go out and get my breakfast in the morning, get my lunch, get my dinner all outside. That will probably take some getting used to, but that's the experience. Like that's why I'm here.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll grow so much from it. 100%. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, you will. Thanks so much, Niamh. I'll leave it open there now for any questions. Just get them in there because we've kind of 5 minutes there to kind of run through anything. So, question for Fanula: did you travel much throughout your internship? Like in the last 5 or 6 months?
During the school term, not so much. Again, I think that was down to where our school was located. Like it wasn't very realistic to hop on a bus for 9 hours to Bangkok to then fly somewhere else or take a bus elsewhere. Because like Bangkok is kind of the central part. You kind of have to get to Bangkok to go to all the places around. And we were quite far out. It didn't make sense. Like, but what we did do was we headed up further north, closer to like the Lao border. And we hung out with other Irish people in a bigger city. That one was called Ubon Ratchathani. And again, that one was only 2 hours away, but it was the opposite side of Thailand. It wasn't south or where the girls are going to go, quite central and close to Bangkok. We were kind of like the complete opposite side. But no, you still have your fun. Like, do you know what I mean? You're kind of, there's so much to see. Even like it is like, do you know, we still had our own fun kind of tipping around the small town out the countryside. Like you're on your bike and there's like 100 buffalo just sitting there, do you know, like on the same road as you. Like random little stories like that you would never get anywhere else, you know. But
did you get a scooter?
Personally, no. We preferred the cycle bikes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was because it's a much slower pace of life up there as well. Everything is really slow paced. It's kind of carefree. Like, you know, you're not in a rush to get anywhere. You know what I mean? So we actually preferred getting up at maybe 5:30, 6 in the morning. And like that, catching sunrise and stopping off, and like the girl said, 7-Eleven for your toasty and a coffee. Or yeah, and again, because we were so lucky to have the little bit of extra free time teaching online. So we weren't in for like morning duty and the morning assemblies. So we had the extra few hours in the mornings to kind of, you know, do what we wanted to do, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. Guys, that's amazing. So what I'll just going to run through next basically is the next steps with the internship. So we do only have 10 positions for May 1st. Again, as I said, there'll be 2 weeks before for maybe quarantine or orientation, but just factor that in your head. But May 1st is kind of the school semester start. And then also 10 positions available. If you are interested, if you could just even, I know a couple of you have messaged already there, but if you want to privately direct message me there in the chat box and just send me your email address. Myself and my colleague Sarah will be doing recruitment calls today and tomorrow, and it works on a first come first serve basis. So if you want me to call you and you want to get booked on and you want to apply and everything like that, please just send me your email and I can make that a priority, or I can give you a call first. Again, I'll run through all the screening with you guys again. If you're not sure of everything or any kind of other questions that you have, I can run through with you on those calls. But as I said, first come, first serve. So if it is something you'd like to do, then please let us know and we can get the ball rolling with it. I think I have another, okay, there's another question here before we go. Do you do internships in September, or is that in the middle of September? So for this one, Naomi, it's twice in a year. So we run it in May and then October again. So kind of May and then the ones the girls are on now, kind of. So there wouldn't be one then. I'm just taking down your number, Sharon, and I will give you a call after this. That's perfect. That's great. Thank you so much. And guys, if there's any final questions for the girls, throw them in there. Other than that, thank you very much. Thank you all for attending. And girls, thank you so much for giving your stories. Oh yes, one thing I wanted to say is the girls are on social media and they're just going to pop their Instagram handle into the chat box there if you kind of want to follow the journey of what they're doing. I'm sure they're super active all the time on it, but no, just, you know, if you want to message them or just kind of follow along on what they're doing. We also have a couple of highlights on our own story on the TEFL Institute of people who are in Thailand and things like that, which are quite interesting as well. So you can have a look at those and just get a bit of more of an idea. But I think that's it from me, guys. So thank you all for attending. And okay, perfect. Thanks, Ed. And I will talk to you all soon. All right. Thanks a mil.